Hi creative friends, this is Soraya and thank you so much for being here. So when I tell you that I have fallen down the rabbit hole in a huge way, this is like, I'm so addicted to this um, layering collage on top of collage on top of collage. It's addicting. So basically, I have been working on these pieces. Now I'm not going to show you all of them because I've got a lot, but as you can see, when I tell you that I fell down the rabbit hole, I fell down the rabbit hole, okay? So what I'm doing is I am adding collage on top of the collage, and then I'm going to layer it on top of collage in an art journal. And what I've been doing in conjunction with this is I have been writing a lot about this entire process, and I'm still trying to figure things out, but I'm going to share what I have figured out so far. And there are so many great reasons to work in this way. But please bear with me because I am at the very start of this process. Like I only just did this like I think a few days ago. So the very first thing and the most obvious point is that everything is in my visual language because I made it. So all of these figures are just from an old art journal from like, say, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago. So it's all mine. It's in my visual language. And even the pieces like, say, this piece over here that I'm gonna cut up and use as collage pieces, well, it's still all in my visual language. Like this over here, this was, like a background, and I cut it up to use for a piece of collage, and it's all in my visual language. And even these mini collages that I made, which I am using, and I'm going to show you how I'm using them. So this piece over here is actually a part of my mini collage. So I made a few videos on this where I made these mini collages as a learning tool to strengthen my use and knowledge of values. So the parameters I set for these mini collages were very different because I said, hey, I want to use a limited color palette, etc., etc. But it's still in my visual language, like it's me. So I'm just combining different parts of my, like different aspects of my visual language, and I'm putting them together in new ways. And I absolutely love the way this turned out. Like this is from, 6, 7, 8 years ago, but this is from a few months ago. But, there's still my visual language. So it all fits together. And it's like, it's just such a new and exciting way to work. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to work on this figure over here. I'm going to build up her face, but I'm going to talk about some of the other important reasons that it's so great to work in this way. So one of the things is that there is so much depth and dimensionality because each layer adds richness, and it's kind of like sediment that builds up over time. Your page becomes more like a landscape because it's textured and alive rather than a flat image. So, for me, this is really exciting. Another thing is that you can transform the meaning of a piece by moving it from one spread to another. And I'm going to show you what I mean here in a minute. Okay, I'm just going to work on this here. Okay, and I'm going to move that off to the side. And I'm just going to show you what I mean. So this is my paper towel collage, which I absolutely love, by the way. And I'm just going to pick I'm just going to pick this over here. And, I'm going to put the moon over there, right? So I can transform the meaning of this piece by moving it from one spread to another because it's going to change context. So the very same image can tell a completely different story. Like over here, it's going to tell one story. And then if I move it around and just say I take the moon away and I don't know, I put another figure, I put these two figures together, and I put, say, that over there. So do you see how this image was the same in you know, when I use this piece of collage, but now it's telling a different story, but it's the same image. And you can just move things like so easily that you can't do with paint. So it really invites a sense of like spontaneity and playfulness and curiosity. And you're not really taking any risks because you're just moving things. It's really simple to just pick something up and move it. So let me get back to this over here. Now, another great reason to work in this way is it's creative recycling. So nothing is wasted, like nothing gets thrown out, because older work becomes new material for your new work, and it's regenerative. So think of it like creative compost, where everything feeds the next layer of growth. Like, isn't that amazing? And another thing is, like, I love layers in mixed media. Like, it's one of the things that I absolutely love about mixed media is building up my layers. But working like this, it adds a whole other dimension to your layers because there are so many stories in these pieces. Like, it's different than when I layer my you know, my page, because now I'm actually layering it like in a three-dimensional way. It's still not like, you know, coming off the page, but it is very different than just like layering the page. So another great reason to work like this is because you have the freedom to experiment. Because like I said, you can move your pieces around in a way that you just can't with paint. So it keeps everything in beginner's mind. You're curious, you're fearless, you're playful. You don't have that investment of time and resources because, you know, you can't just pick something up on a page if it's painted on. And I just love that about this. You can just like move everything around. So now, I'm gonna try to explain this in a way, and like I said, I'm just, please bear with me because I'm at the beginning of this process. Like, I'm still trying to figure it out, but I'm starting to look at these pieces more and more like pieces of a puzzle, but it's like I'm creating both the image and the puzzle pieces at the same time. Like, you know, if you have a box, you know, with puzzle pieces inside and you're making the puzzle, you look at the image on the box and you're like, oh, I'm trying to make, you know, the puzzle, but you have an image to go by. But in this particular instance, I am both making the image on the box and I'm also making the puzzle. Does that make sense? It's so cool. And I absolutely love it. It's a little bit trippy if I think about it too much, but so I'm gonna get to the two huge reasons that I am really wanting to explore more of in my work, especially when it comes to me working intuitively. Okay, so the thing is, when I was in Oaxaca, Connie was talking about how we can dialogue with our art. Like, we actually have a dialogue with our art, and you know, we have a studio log and we talk to our art and blah blah blah. So that concept was introduced to me by Connie. But the great thing about working with these pieces is that I can have an actual dialogue with my art, in the sense of I can ask questions like, okay, let me just put this down here, right? So I can go, hey, do you belong here? You know, or like I can take the moon and I can say, well, what happens if I place you over here? You know, what happens if I move that around? What stories are you carrying? Do you need to be seen fully, or do you need to be partially hidden? What mood, what energy do you bring to the spread? Do you belong at the center, or do you belong at the margins? What happens if I turn you upside down? You know, what happens if I, you know, move the moon over here, say? And when I'm working like this, I am really working from my intuition, because, you know, everything might say, hey, that doesn't look right. Like, what on earth? But I might be like, hey, I really like that. Like, it gives it some tension. It gives it like curiosity. It gives it a story. So I am really, really wanting to explore this like way deeper. And the other thing is, and I am just, you know, on the cusp of seeing that working in this way can express emotions in new and unexpected ways. And I'm still like trying to figure out how to best kind of access the emotions. And it's kind of like what I was talking about with the medial woman is, you know, I am trying to bring forth information, pockets of energy from the unseen world into the seen world. And I am trying to access emotions in new ways. So, you guys, this is like seriously so addictive. I cannot tell you. And I'm gonna make more of these paper towel collages because I want another one in red. I think I used up my red. But I just wanted to show you another piece here. So this is, so this over here is another piece that I used my collage, like my mini collages that I made, like these little mini collage pieces. I just tore out a piece and I just stuck it on here, hot glued it. But then this is a part of the background from the same journal that I cut this figure out of. And all I'm doing is I'm just like kind of like I would build up my figure on a page. I'm adding dictionary pages, I'm adding tea bags, I'm you know, I'm just building up my figures, and then I'm gonna make a journal. At first I thought I was gonna put it in my healing ancestral trauma journal, but I don't think, I mean, I've got a lot of figures here, so I might use one for the cover, I think, but I think I'm gonna make a brand new journal for these figures. So yeah, these are just some thoughts that are kind of like swirling around in my brain. And yeah, I'm just loving working like this, you guys. So I hope that this video has been inspiring. I hope that you will go through some of your old journals and say, hey, you know, there's some figures in here that I did a few years ago that maybe I can cut it out or use background papers or whatever it is. But it's just new ways of seeing, and it's allowing me to access different not only ways of seeing, but ways of actually working. So I'm just so excited about this, you guys. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.